a chicken, you want to make sure don't get a chicken that is more than about 2.5 pounds, not over 3 pounds. You get a lot of water most of the time when you buy it in the supermarket. And you want to have, if you're going to add water to the chicken, you want to add it to yourself, right? So the first step is to soak the chicken, brine the chicken, lemon and salt and water. Minimum 2 hours. Then you cure it in a mix between coconut milk and buttermilk. So you get both creamy and lots of sour flavors, right? And I'm adding in a spice blend that's a little bit smoked paprika. It's actually from my home country, Ethiopia, but it's smoked paprika, a little bit of garlic powder, celery salt, regular salt, and it just adds in a lot of flavor. I use that same spice blend into my flour. You use 50% AP flour, regular flour, use a little bit of semolina, and then a little bit of cornstarch, right? And then that spice blend again. And the great thing with mixing it, right? Regular flour and the cornstarch, it really allows you to get that super crispy chicken, all right? There is many ways to fry a chicken. All over the world, people fry chicken, right? But you want to, if you have time, the best way is actually to fry it 3 times. If you eat Korean fried chicken, it's rice fried. If you can't fry it 3 times, fry it at least twice. I'm going to tell you why. The first fry, it's really like when you fry potatoes. It's just you cook it through. You're blanching the chicken, basically, right? So you're cooking it through on low heat. And it depends on, you want to use a pot that is large, right? You want to make sure you don't fill it up with a lot of oil, too much oil. And you always want to cook it on low heat, so you just sort of blanch it, lift it out. Then you increase the heat a little bit. You fry it until it's golden brown. Then you lift it out. And if you want to go for that 3rd time, increase it again, and that's when it's going to become golden brown. By doing it at least twice, you're going to get a tender, moist chicken cooked through that is golden brown and crispy. So we have both thighs and legs. Some of them with bones, some of them without. For flavor, if you have, depending on how much time, if it's a weekday or weekend, how much time you have to cook. Flavor-wise, if you can keep the bone in, by far the best way, right? Make sure it stays nice and juicy. If you're rushed, buying it without the bone, but also, again, using the dark meat. I do think you get a much better flavor by doing that. You have a higher fat content, so it's going to taste much, much better. Look at that. And you want to go straight into that pot. We're going to lower it a little bit. Just let that simmer away. The first cookout, you just really want it to cook on, this is almost a little bit too high heat for the first one, but you just want to cook through, especially the leg with the boning. You just want to cook through a good 8 or 9 minutes so it gets cooked through. Lift it out, and then go back in and fry it again. And the great thing with this, especially when you use the thigh or the leg, is that you can put it back into the oven, and it can sit for a good 45 minutes in the oven, and it's not going to dry out, just because, A, you keep the bone in, and B, using the darker meat. All right, so nice and golden brown. So now we're just going to let it sit and rest. That's the other reason why you want to do that, especially when you have the bone in, right? The blood's going to go all over the place right now, right? So by letting it rest just a couple of minutes, everything will just sort of stick together, and it will rest just like you rest a piece of meat. So you want to let it sit for a good 4 or 5 minutes like this, and then you go back in, right? And as you're doing that, I'm just going to increase the heat just a little bit. You want to fry it off around 360 if you have a lot of chicken. That 360 will probably drop down to 290. If you just have 2 or 3 pieces, you can go higher than 360, because by adding in the chicken, you're going to lower the temperature a lot. Again, when you fry the chicken, make sure you have, obviously you have to have a little bit of paper there just to rinse it all off, right? You want to let it rest. And then adding on, and then I'm just going to chop it up. making sure it's nice and crispy. Let it rest. There you go.